Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today, we're taking a look at the Gibson signature Gary Clark Jr. SG. Not a Junior SG, that's just in his name, Gary Clark Jr. So that guy, if you're not familiar, he was born in Austin, Texas, started playing around the age of 12. He's kind of a blend of rock, blues, and soul music, and he shared the stage with many a big name such as Clapton, B.B. King, Foo Fighters, even Tom Morello. He pretty much came into the public eye in 2017 with his cover of the Beatles song Come Together that was used in the Justice League movie. The two biggest features of his signature SG here is namely 3 P90 pickups. Not a combination you see too often on a Gibson, but a combination that I adore. On top of that, this is a full 2-octave 24-fret SG. They're not that rare to find, but it's not a stock spec that you would always find on an SG. These were offered at $14.99 new with a case, which was an absolute steal. That made it a better deal than a regular SG standard at the same price, because these guys, again, you got the case, but you also got locking Grover tuners. Now, these were limited edition, but not necessarily a limited run. They made these, I think, from about 2017 through 2018, give or take a few months there. So there's tons of them out there. There's always at least 5 or 6 available on the used market, but they've held value really well because you'll generally have to pay anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 for one of these. They were offered in this cherry finish and one called Gloss Yellow. I've also done a review on that Gloss Yellow, but something was not right with that guitar, so I promised I would re-review it with one that was all stock. But definitely check out that video because there is a bit of controversy behind that finish and why it is now so highly desirable. So since this is kind of a repeat review, I wanted to do a mini Would You Rock or Not segment because I bet Gary Clark Jr. is going to be getting another signature guitar here very soon. It was 3 months ago on Saturday Night Live when he used a very bizarre looking Flying V. Here it is. First thing you're going to notice is it is a natural finish with no pickguard at all. It has his signature 3 P90 setup, and get this, 4 knobs on the front of a Flying V and a single toggle switch, and the output jack is not on the front, it's actually on the inside part of the V. The inlays are also kind of cool. They're the Trini Lopez split diamond style. It also appears to have locking Grover tuners on the headstock, and the Gibson logo inlaid in mother of pearl at the top, with a bell-style truss rod cover. But here's the thing that is even cooler. It has binding on the body, but maybe not on the neck. It's kind of hard to see, but the binding is black. That's kind of an interesting choice for a natural finished guitar to have black binding. But I really dig this guitar and can't wait for it to come out because it is such an 80s monster. The black binding kind of reminds me of a Flying V2 for some reason because those things always looked a little bit freaky with their sculpting. The no pickguard gives it the attributes of just your standard alder body 80s Flying V. And then it also takes inspiration from the V90, which is a late 80s model that used the same inlays. However, knowing that he's played with Dave Grohl, I bet he stole those inlays from his signature guitar, which Dave stole from Trini Lopez. Man, I feel sorry for Trini Lopez. He creates his own signature guitar, Dave Grohl steals it, and now Gary Clark's stealing Dave Grohl. Now I use the term stealing very lightly. It's just a funny tribute how that man has become even more popular today because of current cultural influences. So definitely let me know how you feel about that Flying V, but let's go ahead and throw this one on the workbench and see what makes this guitar up. Alright, that was a bunch of stuff to take apart, but let's take a look. Okay, first off, I lied to you. These aren't actually P90 pickups. They're P90S type pickups. So the main difference between that is you cannot adjust these pull pieces, whereas on a regular Gibson P90 you can. I'd bet they use a different type of magnet, but I don't really know a lot about pickups besides what the spec sheets tell me. But word on the street is these will sound more like a Fender-style single coil pickup rather than a regular P90. But since you can't adjust the pull pieces, you can see Gibson has put a bunch of these foam blocks in order to set the height, and you also have adjustment springs there. Now all the stickers were pretty much ruined at the factory, but here we can see the one P90SM for middle, then this is the P90ST for treble, meaning the bridge position, And then the P90 SR. If you can zoom in there, you can see it for rhythm. But here's what the pickup cavities look like. They all have these base plates, so you could easily swap in mini humbuckers in here if you want. That'd be a cool modification to see. But you can see right here it has some sort of scribble, then VE for vintage cherry. Nothing in the middle position. And then you could just barely make out some writing right there in the bridge pickup. It likely says something like Gary Clark SG and then the year. With those back in, we can now take a look at our bridge. What's cool about these is it does have an ABR1 bridge, but as we've been seeing with most of these modern day ones, it's not mounted in a traditional way. If we take one of these off, you can see they are stud mounted instead of being mounted directly into the guitar. So while you might have the look of a regular ABR1 bridge on top, I mean it acts pretty much just like a Nashville style. The bridge is a lightweight aluminum version made by Advanced Plating. Now something to know about this one is this was owned by a smoker. There is a smoky smell to this instrument, but look what it's already done to the lacquer. You see how much it's darkened it? So that means this lacquer has actually turned kind of a yellowish color, but it has not changed underneath the pickguard. But the pickguard itself is kind of like a 61 reissue style SG, but it does not have the tenon cover. As we'll learn about here in a little bit, this actually utilizes a 3-volume and a master tone setup. So this is the middle pickup. So if you turn that off, it's just like a regular SG as far as the neck, middle, and bridge positions. But if you have this on, you can blend it in with any of these other pickups. So to kind of illustrate that, I've turned the middle pickup off, so your neck position is a 7.5, middle position 3.8 or so, and then the bridge is a 7.88, exactly what you would normally see. But now once you start blending that middle position in, you can see it cuts it in half, so that means it'll kind of get strattier in tone. The middle position is, once again, even less output, as evidenced there. And same thing with our bridge pickup. It goes from 7.9 all the way down to 3.9. This particular one is a 2-piece mahogany body with a mahogany neck, and you do have a rosewood fretboard on these. 24 frets again, looks like real mother of pearl inlays to me, and not too much wear to go over on this particular example. Underneath the blank truss rod cover, you can see your truss rod cavity. Everything looks good there. And you have your Gibson crown as well as the Gibson mother of pearl logo. I get a nut width of 1.68 inches, which increases to 2.07 by the 12th. It's a fairly wide feeling neck on this thing. But then once you get up here, it stays fairly thin, 0.85 at the first, and it only increases to 0.91 by the 12th. But your scale length is traditional at 24 3/4. Moving on to the back side, this model utilizes the textured backplate. These have shielding built into them. And on the inside we have 4 Gibson branded pots with a large orange drop capacitor. The strap buttons used on this model are also the larger styled ones. We'll take a quick run up the neck here. Condition wise, there are some light impressions back here. Nothing too crazy, but they are there. And this utilizes Lock & Grover tuners and says made in USA. And lastly, this example weighs 7 pounds, 1.3 ounces. My last one was about 3 ounces lighter than this, so 7 pounds seems to be the average from what I've had. All right, let's go ahead and walk through these tones. First, I'm gonna roll that middle pickup completely off, acting like this is just a regular guitar. So just your neck pickup. Now neck and bridge. And now just the bridge. So now we'll do all that again, but with the middle position always at 10. Middle position. Bridge position. is a super spanky guitar when you have that middle pickup in. Now obviously you can blend that into your heart's desire. I'll just give you a test of that right here. Then on top of that, you also have your tone knob you can blend into all this to make it sound dark. Yeah, if you like spanky tones, this is like your heaven right here. You can mess around with this all day and get some really nice stuff out of it. So let's go ahead and do a few more tone demos without me talking here. So now that we know all about the Gary Clark Jr. Signature SG, what are my final thoughts of this thing? You know, I've been on the record a few times saying that in many ways that these things looked better than a standard SG spec-wise. I mean, you get an extra pickup locking Grover tuners, but the thing is, this really isn't an SG. This is more akin to like a Stratocaster. And it's all because of this whole middle pickup situation. I mean, you've got 3 single coil P90s that aren't exactly your traditional P90s in the way they sound. And the fact that you can blend this middle pickup in and out to get the really thin tones and then your really juicy tones with it off. This is something I think everybody needs in their arsenal because it's different from most other Gibson SGs. So if you're an SG collector or just a Gibson diehard fan and you don't want to buy a Fender, this is kind of interesting, the territories that it can take you. It's not what you would normally expect from an SG. So thank you, Troglodytes, for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at this guitar, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.